I'm Jess Sargis, high-performance speaker, certified mental performance mastery coach, and your guide to mastering your mental game. I went from Ivy League trained attorney to undefeated MMA fighter and back again. Now I help high achievers in any field live with fierce agency, deep alignment, and the power to win consistently when it matters most. You can do it all when you train your mindset, energy, and focus like elite athletes. That's why this is the Legal Athlete Podcast, where each week I use neuroscience, performance psychology, and real-world battle-tested strategies to help you unlock sustainable excellence, bold decisions, and the courage to show up each day as the badass you are. Green light. Let's go. Welcome back to the Legal Athlete Podcast. My guest today is Zac Armstrong, a Marine, current Navy commander, former fighter pilot, and founder of Empowerment Fitness, a high-performance coaching program built for leaders who want to dominate in business, at home, and in their own bodies. With 25 plus years of active duty experience, Zac has led elite teams, executed under pressure, and navigated the kind of personal and professional challenges that test even the strongest performers. Now he helps executives and high achievers realign their health, energy, and identity with the legacy they actually want to build. Zac's method is all about self-leadership, from military-grade structure and blood work-driven strategy to daily accountability and values-based coaching. No fluff, no quick fixes, just the discipline and clarity to lead from the inside out. I am so pumped to talk with Zac today and have him share his high-performance insights with you. So green light, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
So Zac, you've served as a Marine, a naval officer, fighter pilot, CEO, and now coach. That's a serious resume of very high stakes leadership. How do you think those experiences have shaped your definition of discipline, and how does that show up in your coaching today?
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm much different than most other successful people as far as in any walk of life, whether like yourself, a lawyer at one point to what you do now, or just the executive who's at Oracle or, another major corporation. So it takes discipline to get there, right? You have to have discipline to set goals to get through college or whatever route you take. And then you have to have discipline within the work that you do to create all those things around you. And I'm no different, right? I've just done things in a manner in which I'm highly organized, and that's helped me in my life and maintain efficiency. Because I got like this thing in me that I just don't stop. So I'm always trying to dabble in multiple things at once, and which has led me down this path, and something I thoroughly enjoy a lot more than I ever would have anticipated.
What has been the most surprising thing that you enjoy about it?
I mean, it's not even really close. It's like getting to witness somebody change their life. Because there's so many guys and women that I've worked with that are successful, very successful in work or, monetary gains. But then they've let themselves go with their health. And then, I have some that have come to me with actual health issues because they've let it get to the point to where they actually are at disability functionality. And to watch one individual go from coming to me pre-diabetic, 272 pounds, and in 6 months he's 205 pounds, and he's running sprints, and he's in his 50s. He's living a life that he never thought was possible again. Like he's like, oh, that was a younger person. That's a younger, Jake. That's not who I can be. And now he's like, I did it, and he lives a life in which he's happy. Because I don't think how many people realize too, like you can be successful in life and then be empty inside, and or not like the person you see in the mirror. I've been guilty of that myself. And then when you can use that and feel good about yourself, it does something inside you, and it's more than just being successful monetarily. You're actually happy with the individual you are, which pretty amazing. It's powerful. It's very powerful. And that's what I meant earlier when I said, like, I didn't realize the gratification I would get from doing that and helping people, because you can't buy that kind of thing. Like, you can't go buy a 6-pack, or you can't go buy, feeling good about yourself. It's something you got to kind of earn. And that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, I love that too. I think so much of what you're talking about is exactly what I've seen in a lot of my lawyer colleagues too. You're in a high performance profession, and you think just pouring everything into your work and ignoring your own physical health is somehow a recipe for success. And then you wake up one day and either you've gotten some bad medical news that snuck up on you, or you're literally in burnout and your body won't let you perform the way you used to. So you didn't make the choice to make a change. Your body is forcing you to make that change. And
You're
it's
not living the life you want to live. You're living the life that's dictated to you from limitations or health concerns, right? And
exactly.
right?
Exactly. That's what I found that performance and fitness really is it's the freedom to have the choice to live the life that you really want to live.
Yeah, like, hey, I want to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or go do this. Like, if you're a certain shape, even if you want to do that, you can't go do it, right? Like, these things, like, oh, I was a younger person that could do that. I can't do that now. Yes, you can. Like, there's guys that I have that are in their 70s that are just absolutely smoking it, and that's not the majority I work with. Are in the 40s, the 60s, but 73-year-old doing it right now, killing it, and it's big. And you touched on it too, without saying it. They pour themselves so much into work and achievement and monetarily value. I keep saying monetary value because a lot of times that's why we go to work, right? Some of it's like that success thing, but a lot of it is driven by that. And we're always so wrapped up in, like, hey, because the majority of these females or males, they do it too for an aspect of providing for their family. And we always think about, like, hey, we need to provide for them in a certain way. They got to have this item, or need to go on this vacation, or they got to live at at this, like, certain level, or have these clothes, or go on this vacation, and all that's important ish. Or I need to save up for their college fund. I need to do all these things in case I die and they need it. But in your head, you're going, this is for them in case I'm not here. Well, if you're putting yourself in a position where you're lacking performance or your health, you're already starting to put yourself in a position. And I could promise you ask any child, hey, would you rather have money or your parent? That's 100% answer, parent, right?
Yeah.
every single child. You go ask a spouse, a happy spouse, hey, would you rather have money or your spouse? And they're going to say their spouse, right? So while you might think that it's very important to give them these things, the most important thing you can give them is yourself, because that they can't buy, that they can't replicate. Well, at least AI is not there yet.
Not yet. But that's so true. And again, it's being there, being present. And sometimes it seems weird to say, sometimes as professionals we're really short-sighted about the idea is to be there for your family long term, and totally ignoring your health, or doing things are counterproductive in order to work harder now, but actually hastening your departure is the short-sightedness I'm talking about.
It's like a tunnel vision. We get this tunnel vision, like, hey, I just got to make it to this age or this time, and then I can stop and live the life, and then I can be retired. It's like, sure, you can maybe on being comfortable with assets and money and things, but if you're limited in health, it's a lot easier to start getting in better shape in your 40s than it is at 60 years old being severely overweight and then having to overcome that. Because you're not going to live the life you think you're going to live with that tunnel vision to just get to that finish line. And for a lot of people, it's very common in the military, very common in like first responders, and then any high stress profession, like lawyer stuff, is like they make it to the end of the road, and then when they retire or stop, they die within a year or two. And it's very common, right? And this is because they've had all this stuff in their life to where they had these goals and the achievement, and then they've made their life about that. And then when it's gone, it's like so much of a part of their life is gone that they just don't know how to carry it through life. And
Yeah.
like that's not
Yep.
my opinion. That's just that's the statistical fact. It's just part of it. It's scary.
It is. I think part of it is purpose, having a bigger reason to get up in the morning, which is certainly a big thing that our professions provide. And also, I think it's identity too. That so
Yeah,
many people in
yeah,
professions, they say, I am this, and when that gets taken away, they don't know who they are. I've seen it a lot in
yeah.
pro athletes as well,
Oh yeah,
when they have to
yeah,
retire, because that's not forever. I've seen a lot of pro athletes spiral because
yeah,
they don't know who they are without their identity as a pro athlete.
yeah. That's in it's very common. Like it's very easy to look at the military. Hey, when you retire,
Mhm.
like you made an impact, but as soon as you're gone, the next day, somebody's there to take your spot. And like
Yeah.
pro athlete, like there's no different. Like you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you retire. Dan Marino, he retires. It was a quarterback the next day taking his position, right? And now the fans are shifting their attention, hoping that he's going to be as good, right? And it's a hard thing to deal with, but it's part of life. Like just realize you're replaceable in that position. But like we talked about with your kids, your family, you're not replaceable for them in
No.
any fashion.
No. And for you, and for actually being someone that you recognize and that you respect,
Yeah, that's a
that
big
you're
deal.
enjoying your life. It's really important, I think, to have that purpose, but also to realize that your real life, you don't have
Yeah,
to wait for retirement. Your real life can start today just
yeah,
by living it in a way that aligns with what you really value, what really matters to you most.
yeah. And it's not. I think we overcomplicate it and overthink it. As people, like you don't have to make all these huge changes at once to create like to that path. Like small changes and just staying consistent with certain small changes leads to an overall bigger change in your life. And when you do it so small and so slowly, you don't even realize it. And then 6 months later, you're doing something. You realize I'm not even thinking about it anymore. It's just part of who I am. It's like
Yeah.
I don't need to like set an alarm and go, all right, I'm gonna go like I'm doing this tomorrow morning to work out. Like it's just I'm already know I'm doing it. So it's part of who I am. And it's the same with everybody else. It's little
Yeah.
habits we create.
The habits are so key to having it not only be effective but lasting too, when it becomes just a part of who you are and just a part of your routine and a part of how you live life in a way that feels the best and
Yeah.
also gives you the results you want. It's amazing. A lot of people think that they just have to keep like grinding, they have to keep
Yeah.
motivating themselves, and the hardest thing to do, and I'm sure you've had this experience, is to start a
Yep.
new,
The
exercise
biggest thing.
program or get
Biggest
into
thing.
shape. Yeah. Yeah. But the momentum just builds. Once you're in it, once it's a part of you, it would be harder to stop, I
It
think.
is. It's like anything in life. We like you call them boundaries or lines, whatever you want to say. We have boundaries and lines. Like if you're married, you have a line. I will not cheat on my spouse. That's a hard line, right? And then we have other lines that we let them blur. Like 20-year-old you would say, at 40, I'm not going to be overweight. That's a hard line. But
Mhm.
slowly, as other things become more important in life, more to you at that moment, like that line becomes blurred, and then you have to recreate a line and say, all right, I am not. This is a hard line for me. I am not going to be out of shape. I'm not. And then you have to live inside those boundaries and know what you have to do to live inside those lines and boundaries.
Yeah.
A lot of things in life we let blur, especially in today's age where we have instant gratification, almost everything, right? Those endorphins, like I can literally just Google something and I know the knowledge. Like back when I was in grade school, right? I had to go to the library. I had to pull out this index card, go find the book, right? Like it was time
Yeah.
consuming. And now it's just instantaneous. And it's hard. You can't get that with other things, right? You still have to do the slow earning, consistency, habit forming. It's can't be bought, right? Like, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the, not to go bro science, but I think that's like one of the biggest flexes for a successful executive, for a successful lawyer, is to be fit,
Yeah.
because people know that you had to put in work for that. You can't buy it. Even Mark Zuckerberg, like he can't buy
No,
fitness,
no.
Bezos, he can't buy fitness. They had
Yeah.
to work at it.
Yeah.
And luckily they have enough money where if they
Hey,
wanted to do,
I'll give them
all they
both.
wanted to do was that. They can, and they can get great trainers,
Yeah.
maybe not as great as you, but they can get great trainers to help them with that. But it's amazing how that what money can't buy is the real wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. Not happiness. I mean, a lot of people out there have all the money in the world. I mean, a great example is Robin Williams, someone who gave so much to the world, loved, and just inside was not happy. And there's a lot of people like that in the world that we walk around that way, front on our face and then inside, right? And then things like health and energy, good sleep, they all feed into positivity. And we shortchange those things and don't realize how much impact it has on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Daily. Yeah. And I think a key, I mentioned it a little bit in the intro, and I know this is important to you too, is self-leadership, which, deciding that you're going to lead your life in a certain way. And then having the integrity to keep those promises to yourself. I think self-leadership is really the key to discipline, or one of the things I like to think about, because discipline sometimes, it sounds really tough. It also sounds, sometimes negative, like it's going to be hard, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
I like thinking about it as devotion,
Right.
devotion to yourself, devotion to a purpose, so that it's not that you're punishing yourself with these habits. No, you're rewarding yourself, you're supporting yourself by being devoted to what's helping you be
100%.
healthy and be happy and successful.
Yeah.
I was listening to Simon Sinek's A Bit of Optimism podcast a couple of days ago, and Gordon Schmidt was on it. He's a Navy SEAL, also I think out of Coronado. I'm going to do one of the horrible things. Do you know him?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was talking about, he was a Navy SEAL. He recently retired about a year and a half ago, and now he's a high school rowing coach in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
But he was talking about what he thought was a key to leadership, to his authentic style of leadership, and that was empathy.
Mhm.
And I wonder if you found the same thing, or if you think there's a different hallmark of your leadership that you credit your success to most heavily.
I actually like that a lot. I've never thought about it in the fashion of like, I call it a little different, and I didn't coin this, the servant leader, right? Like that's kind of what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like a servant leader, somebody can empathize, put themselves in that position. I was lucky enough to have started out enlisted, then go into the officer realm. And so I kind of already had that baseline, but it goes with anything in life. And it's funny with age, how much easier that is to do. A younger version of me would not be empathetic or understanding of people in any, wherever they're at in the realm of life, whatever problems they may or may not have. And now you can look at it and understand. You can look at that mom who's struggling with raising kids on her own, or the person who is struggling to put food on the table for their kids, or the person who gets cancer and is just trying to fight and struggle. And now, like as an older person, I can not have been in one of those positions, but can understand so greatly how much that is and what kind of people they are when they're doing those things. And I 1,000% like what he said there. I've always put it as being a servant leader, but yes, I believe that's kind of semantics, right? Same type of thing we're saying there.
Yeah, I think also it helps, particularly in a coaching relationship too, not just leadership, but also coaching. He was talking about, for him, and one of the stories he shared was how empathy came through in his leadership, was just really understanding what it was that his guys, that his team needed at a particular point in time. Like he described this one mission they'd gone out on, and one of their platoon got really badly injured, had to leave. And a couple of other guys that they were with had died. And they were back at their camp just trying to figure out, all right, what's our next move?
Mm-hmm.
And he said that by tapping into his empathy and really understanding who his guys were, he understood that what they needed wasn't a rah-rah speech, wasn't a break. They needed to get back out there and accomplish a mission. And so that's where he led them. He, gave them the details about, here's where we are, here's what I think we can do. And they're like, yeah, we can do that. And they went out on that one mission, took them an hour to accomplish something. And he said that years later, one by one, individually, not just bringing it up, but things that guys who were with him there on that mission brought up to him independently were that, man, I really needed that at that time. Like that really meant something to me. You knew that we needed to get back out there. And that changed everything for me. So I was just struck by how that type of empathy was understanding what someone needs. And I think great coaches, they understand that not every person that they're coaching needs the same thing. Some people
No.
react well, to like, do it, you got 5 more. And some are like, hey, you got this. I know you can do it.
Yeah.
So how do you tailor your style to your coaching clients?
What I do currently, only take on a select number of clients. I do not take on as many as possible. I have the number that I say, that's it, I'm stopping. And then, and I know then that I'm at my saturation where I can provide personal touch into which I know every client so well that I kind of know these things. Like, I'll be like, hey, I can tell after 2 or 3 days, like, what's going on? Hey, what's going on with you, man? Something doesn't seem right. Like, something seems off. And like, how'd you know? I was like, I don't know. I'm just, I can tell from like how much we talk, and then something cuts off, or like how you're replying, or throughout your workouts. And then we use a lot of data. Like, we use a lot of, Oura Ring, Whoop watches. So I can actually see like heart rates, blood pressure and stuff. So I can also see like, oh man, your heart rate's like 10 more than it usually is. Like, what's going on? But also, I'm so high touch point. Like, I usually talk to every client now, not it's through the app I have, in which it's basically almost text like 3 to 20 times a day, right? So every client, and then I do a Loom video where I send them a 5-minute to 10-minute video every Sunday, and it's going over their whole week. With the people who have the smart data, like, there could be PDF, Excel files in which I'm giving them on their current data, HRV, what they're looking at. And then once a month we Zoom, at least once a month. Some clients want more, and so we'll do that. The majority of them are pretty time constrained, and so once a month is good for them on Zoom. So it's very high touch point, and you learn pretty quickly. Like, I had a client who started a week ago, about 10 days ago, football player at a major university, and he's wanting to change some of the stuff that's going on in his life, and he is not a high touch point guy. He doesn't need it all. Like, and it was easy to tell him because he told me, but that he doesn't like all that feedback. He doesn't want high touch. He doesn't want like, hey, that's a good job, guy. He wants, hey, just give it to me cut and dry. Once a week, send me that video, give me the whole synopsis, right, and let me know. Then I'm on my way. There's other people, like, as soon as they do something and I give them instant gratification, they love it. Like, thanks, man, I really needed that. That was inspiring, right? And then, like, some of the Loom videos, sometimes when I send them a video, I might not even go much over their actual week. I might just be going over their mindset. I might just be talking to them about getting motivated and doing what they need to do, like, totally different, right? So it's very individualized, and no one's alike, right? Not one single client is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But almost all of them live in the same kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Highly successful, wanting the certain same kind of goals, same aspirations. Like, they all kind of want the same goal, like different things, right? Like, you got a guy who is a national water polo guy. So his mindset's a little different than the guy who played football, right? Or the person who was never an athlete, who'd never lifted the weights in their life, and they came to me at 50 years old. Total different, right? So it's fun. That's what I love about it, right? And there's such a wide variety of lawyers or people in finance or entrepreneurs. It's such a wide set, and then getting to hear some of the stuff they go through, and it becomes so personal that I live in Coronado, obviously, and have an ADU at my house. And I've had like 13 clients come and stay with me, not to visit me, but like they come to visit San Diego, but they stay here because obviously I have a gym behind me, and they come work out and they just enjoy it, right? And that's how impactful it is, and that's what is so meaningful to me. Is I'm having impact on people's lives, but it's more than just like cut and dry coach. It's an actual relationship, and that's what makes it so meaningful. There's actually meaning to it. It's not just a, hey, you're in better shape now, man, or lady.
And there's I think there's an important part of the relationship, any sort of leadership relationship or coaching, is the trust, that develops that between you and your client or your athlete. They have to trust you to lead them. And that's a really, that's a hard thing for people to develop. And so
especially
it's
remote,
a really, it's important. It's critical, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to do what it is you're guiding them to do.
No, there's, Brene Brown's brilliant. Like, I'm sure you know who she is. And her biggest thing is vulnerability, right? And for us as humans, it's so hard to be vulnerable, right? And with a coach, you're going to be vulnerable, right? Progress photos or sharing, something you're not doing good in life when you are super successful at everything else, right? And, like yourself, the Ivy League school in which you went to law school, right? Like, those are the type of people you're working with. And they have to be vulnerable with you. And nobody's going to be vulnerable with somebody they don't trust. Nobody. Yeah. Of course you're not going to be, right? Because why would you? And even when you trust somebody, it takes a certain real layer of trust to be like, I'm going to be overly vulnerable with this person and share with them. And and Brene Brown obviously says it way better than I just did, but it's true. She's pretty on point with her thought process there, at least to me.
Yeah, I think I've found as a leader, one of the best ways to build trust is to give trust.
Yeah.
Like give trust to your team, give trust to your client as well.
I think for me, in like when you went back to being empathy, like, I've had struggles in my life, ones I've been very open about, and I've just developed where I can be vulnerable almost with anybody, because I've developed I don't know, I just got to a point in my life where I really just don't care.
Yeah.
The old man who doesn't care, I guess.
I get it. I get it.
It's not that I don't care. I just like how you judge me now no longer affects me.
Yeah, it's a gift.
At some point that happened, and like that's a pretty big power, because okay, you don't like me, all right, or I'm going to tell you this, and you're going to judge, and like you're going to have those preconditions in your head of who I am or what I am because of what I was vulnerable about, and that's why I probably connect with clients so well. Is I'm just vulnerable. I tell them exactly what I think. Tell them, like, hey, yeah, dude, like somebody's struggling with this, or hey. Yep, I did too. I was there. This was me. That was me at 38. I went through a bad divorce. I struggled with alcohol. That was me. Like, there's a lot of clients. There's a lot of clients that have like similar struggles, right? Go through a bad relationship, or struggle with food or alcohol or something, right? And we're all human. We all go through something at some point in our lives. And I think that's easier when you get older. You can be more empathetic. It's because you usually have had something in your life. You're like, damn, I didn't think that was going to happen, and it did. And then you had to figure out how to get through it.
Yeah, more life has definitely happened to you by the time you get to be our age. Yeah, I love also that I think a lot of high performers, we're used to taking in a lot of data, and having ways to measure certain things. I love that you were talking about how much data-driven strategy you use and how precise you are with your tailored recovery protocols and your customized supports. How do you think that level of detail, that level of actual data gives your clients more of an edge in their performance and their longevity?
Well, one, they get to see it, right? The ones that have the devices on some of them, like I can get to the point to where like, I'm having PDFs printed out for them on their weekly, health assessment or their monthly, right? Like, and that's usually some of the levels where you need to go to nutritionists, get scanned and all that stuff. And I do have some that actually go do that and then put the data in, and then we're able to manipulate it and get down to like, hey, what we need to change. And what's great about the data too is nothing about my program is like, hey, we set it. This is the workout. Says your meals. This is what it's going to be for the whole time, right? It's very fluid. Like we 2 weeks, 4 weeks, you get data points. Right, man, we need to shift. Or hey, man, we need to shift. Like left or right. We're not heading in the right direction. So this data points are showing us, right? Like, yeah, or the progress photos. That's a data point too, right? Like weight, you could be 175 pounds and look one way. You could be 175 pounds and look a total different way. And so that's a data point too. But these datas, right, are really good. Like, the gentleman who came to me that was 272 pounds, and then 6 months later it was 205 pounds. His heart rate went from like 79, 82 to now it's 48 to 52 on average.
Wow.
Right? He went from somebody who's there, and now that's at an athlete's level of the heart rate, right? And obviously that's meaning his heart's working less to stay alive, which is good for longer life expectancy. So those data is real, and you can't really like, well, that's bull crap, or that's not true. It's like, hey man, this is real data, right? This is like Oura rings, like it's going to show the HRV, it's going to give you a readout of sleep, it's going to show like the quality of sleep. Those things all play in such a role when we're trying to get you to a place not just aesthetically pleasing, but yeah, I think every client's thrown off when I say, hey, I have my top 3 goals. My very first goal, the most important to me, is energy. Yeah. It's my number 1 goal.
Yep.
And I say it, and anybody who's talked to me knows it. Clients are, energy is the most important to me. One reason, there's 2 main reasons. And the first one is when you have more energy, it's never negative.
No.
It's always positive. Like you just feel better, you're
right.
energetic, you have energy. And it's like, it's not just like the energy you have and making yourself feel better. It literally bleeds into every aspect of your life. It bleeds into your work, which makes you a better performer at work. It bleeds into your relationship with your spouse. It bleeds in your relationship with your children. And they can feel it, right? They can feel the positivity. They can feel the energy. And so can everybody. And it's like people want to be around you. People like it, right? Because you can feel that aura. Like it's not something that you'd even need to, you can just go around somebody like, oh my God, like I don't know, I just like them, right? And it's that positive outset energy that you have. And so that's like my number 1 thing with it for that reason. And then the next reason is it's a subset. Like that comes from a subset of good nutrition, good sleep, good fitness. That's my number. It's not even real data, right? It's like, hey, do you feel more energetic? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a data point. It's not like, like Whoop's not telling you that, right? You got to feel that, right? And, but the data is great, but I definitely, my number 1, I think people always start off like, oh, I want you to have a 6-pack at this time. My number 1 goal is always energy, right? Because I believe it's the ultimate thing. It's a combination of everything.
It is. It's important across all aspects of your life. When I'm speaking and coaching people, I also focus on energy because you can't do your best work on an empty tank. And the basis of it, right? The basis of it is physical energy, your fitness, your wellness, and then there's also mental energy, how well are you able to focus? How well are you able to think and strategize? There's emotional energy, are you feeling okay today? Because if you feel down in the dumps, you're not going to be operating on all cylinders. And then there's that energy you get from having a purpose, from having that reason to get up in the morning and pursue what you're pursuing. And so I try to, what I do is I call it an energy audit. It's like, where are you leaking energy? Because let's focus on that. Like, is it that you're eating like crap and you're not sleeping? Yeah. Okay, that's physical. Let's have a plan for physical, or is it you're in a relationship that is really negative, like you're losing all kinds of energy there. Let's give you the framework to start addressing that, to take ownership of that. But you're right. It's all energy because you literally, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't do your best work when you're running on empty or, on fumes. It makes no sense.
Yeah. And, you said energy vampires, what's sucking your energy, right? Like,
yeah.
But you said it best, like with it, like being around somebody, like you just walk away like, man, I just feel better from talking to that person. Why? Mm-hmm. Well, probably because they had positive energy. And like I said earlier, that aura, it's a certain
Yeah.
aura people can have about them. You're like, I don't know, I just feel better. Like Brene Brown earlier, like, I can't watch Brene Brown and not feel better. Like there's an aura about her, right? It is positivity, right? Because all she is trying to put out in the world is positivity, and you can feel it. You don't even have to be there, right? I'm watching something that she recorded 6 months ago, and I still feel the energy there. It's crazy how that works.
It is. It's amazing. It's also really incredible how intention really matters. You know, that intention was there. It was like, I want to benefit people. I want to be a lighthouse that illuminates other people. And you can always feel when that happens. I think that's so critical. Shifting gears a little bit, because I don't want to leave the conversation without talking about this. Obviously, as a Marine, you know, a former fighter pilot, you are not any stranger to executing under pressure. So how do you teach your clients to try to bring that same sort of intensity or clarity or focus under pressure to their health and their daily habits without burning out?
That's hard to put like as an overall, because I really do make it very individualized, and we do. By the time I'm creating a program, I've probably spoken to them, at least 45 minutes to an hour and a half via Zoom, phone, other, communication factors. I would say two of the most ones that I do the most when people first start off, and then most of them fall in sky. I do get a lot of guys who are maybe like, already in shape and just want to take it to another level. I do get those kind of people. But for anybody who's not in that category, almost always do two things. And one is when you wake up, like spending like 10 minutes in thought, like no phone, nothing, and like power of thought. And two is the journaling. And the journaling, not always necessarily me trying to make it therapeutic for them. Some of it is writing down goals, like, hey, in 1 week I'm going to be here, and then 1 month I'm going to be here. And the reason I got this and brought it to light and really try to make it powerful and give them thought of why to do it, is like, if you go watch a documentary on the Blue Angels or documentary on the Thunderbolts, Thunderbirds, before every demonstration flight they go and do, they all sit down as a team and chair fly it together. And there's a reason, right? Because you're putting in the thoughts in your head and seeing it before you actually go and do it. And why do you do that? Because then when you actually go out and execute it, the thoughts are already in your head. And the power of thought is so powerful. When you can already start picturing yourself there, your mind automatically gravitates towards that because you've already thought it. So in your head, it's possible. And when you have that power of it's possible and belief, the belief in yourself, and that, you naturally just gravitate towards it. So, but trying to get an executive who has title and time and saying, hey man, why don't you spend 10 minutes in thought? It takes 5 minutes and then 10 minutes to journal a day. That's a hard, like, all right, man, you sure? I was trying to get in shape, not have a therapist. And when I explain it to them, I think they all grasp it, right? Because, when you put it down to something that's such a high functioning level as like a demonstration flight team, and they do it before every flight, something they've done hundreds of times, practice. Yeah. Probably, before they get out there and do it, they've probably done that routine 200, 300 times, but they still practice it every time because they all know the power of that thought and the positivity and putting that belief in their head. This is exactly how it's about to happen. And it's powerful. Yeah. It's so powerful.
It really is. Oh, I'm sorry. My dog is sleeping. Sorry. I don't know if you can.
My wife came through here a second ago. In the background.
He's like having a very barky dream. But I'm not going to wake him up. So hopefully you can still hear me. Hear me all right. Two things that I wanted to say about that, about visualization, is number one, how do you know where you're going unless you take the time, the stillness, to actually be intentional about it? Like, what is my goal? How can you shoot for that without understanding that, taking the time to sit there. And two, with visualization, like you're talking about the Blue Angels or any athlete, is that our brains don't differentiate between what we're thinking and what we're doing in real life,
Yeah.
right? So one of the amazing videos I just saw recently was the Blue Angels sitting at a table, and they've all got their eyes closed, and they're literally just going through. All right, now I'm moving I'm going to use the wrong word. I'm moving the throttle, like,
No, they do that.
we're returning here, and they're all doing it together because that's exactly how they
Yeah.
execute. Or if people remember the Olympics, the pommel horse guy,
Yep.
like he was standing on the ground with his eyes closed, just mentally going through his entire routine, and someone was filming him. And then they did side by side with him mentally going through his routine and the little motions he was doing. And it matched exactly what he
No,
actually ended up doing on the pommel horse, because it was in
it's there.
here. He mentally rehearsed
Yeah.
it. So it's not woo woo. It's
It's
science.
not.
It's neuroscience.
It's really some of the highest performers, they do it. And like you talk about athletes, like some of the best athletes ever are the ones who do that. They're more mentally strong and more mentally prepared than physically attribute level. Like, high performing quarterbacks like Tom Brady, I don't think it can be argued, like when he came into the league, right? He was not the most physically gifted person. It took him years. And then by the time he left, he's maybe the greatest of all time. But the amount of mental practice he put in and what he did, he overcame some maybe physical limitations because of how much thought and how much work he put into it. And it was all visualization, right? You can go listen to some stuff he's talked about it too, right? It's powerful, overly powerful.
Yeah. So I know you got to run in not too long. I want to make sure that I cover a couple other things. I like to always make sure that anyone listening is going to walk away with something immediately actionable that they can take away and start doing right away. So for anyone who's a high achiever listener who wants to stop negotiating with their health, what do you think is one powerful action that they can take today to start leading themselves, leading their life like a high performance athlete, like a high performance executive?
That's easy for me. And it'll be the same thing I would always say. You start off with the easiest non-negotiable, which is your morning.
Mm-hmm.
You can wake up at a certain time to make sure you get a workout in, or that you walk, or that you journal, or that you get out in sunlight. You can do all those things because in that time before when you wake up, you have a controllable amount of time. Now, once you leave your house or leave that time, there's a lot of things that are coming out of your control that are no longer in your control. And so they become not necessarily non-negotiables, or just things that are, things that are in your life that you have to deal with. But in that time frame in the morning, you have the control. And in that controllable time, that's when you can make a big impact. I think if you go look at a lot of like super successful people in the world, and you go and look at what they do, their morning is where they have a lot of creativity, or they get up and they work out, or they get up and they walk, or they get up and journal, or they get up and meditate, or get up and all these people have very similar characteristics where their morning's the non-negotiable. And I would say by far the easiest first step to do is make your morning non-negotiable with whatever that may or may not be. Working out, walking, journaling, meditation, whatever it might be. That's the easiest one to start.
I love that. Absolutely. I preach it too. I'm so glad you said that. That's an amazing tip. And it's, I mean, for someone who's just starting it, one of my boxing coaches used to say, it's simple, but it ain't easy. But it is the easiest way to start, right?
I don't even set an alarm anymore. It just kind of like
yeah. Set an alarm and just do it. Trigger yourself and do it. So the last thing I'm going to ask you is my favorite question. I end all my interviews with it. I took it from Oprah, who took it from Gene Siskel, who's a film critic, but she made it her. She wrote a book about it. And it's thinking about what you know about life or the military or fitness. What is one thing that you know for sure that you can share with everyone? One thing in life or in military or any aspect, one thing that you know for sure that you can share with people.
That no matter where you're at in life, you can change. It's not hard. You could be at the lowest aspect of your life with no way to getting out, and you could just say that's not it and take a step and go, and that's not me. I'm going to go in this direction. And it can be subtle, it can be fast, it doesn't matter. You can change in any time. You don't ever have to let your past define you. You can define your future by changing the course and where you're heading now.
I love that. I love it. Absolutely right. I think that is essential. Thank you so much for sharing that and for being here, talking with me today. Before we go, if people want to work with you, want to find out more about you, what are the best ways to either reach you or look you up?
Best way, I'm on LinkedIn, Zac Armstrong. You can also go to my company page, Empowerment Fitness. And then on Instagram, it's Zac, Z-A-C, Armstrong Fit. Then you can just look at me on Facebook, Zac Armstrong, Z-A-C. Then you can email me too, Zac, Z-A-C, at myempowermentfitness.com. And then, my website, myempowermentfitness.com too. Like, there's plenty of ways. I'm pretty sure at this point you can just Google me and you can find me. So it's not overly hard.
Not too hard. I'll make sure that I put all those links in the show notes too.
Okay,
so
that'd be great. Thank you.
Can click on them. Thank you so much, Zac. I have had such fun talking with you. We're talking about energy, and I'm up after this conversation with you.
Yeah. It's the aura, right? You can feel it.
It's the aura.
Two states apart.
That's right. So thank you again, and let's green light everybody. Let's make sure you control your morning, make it non-negotiable, and let's go.
Sounds great.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Legal Athlete Podcast. If today's episode fired you up or gave you something to train with, hit follow, leave a review, and share it with a fellow high achiever who's ready to raise their game. Want to bring this energy to your team, firm, or event? Or are you ready to train for your next high-stakes moment with me directly? Click the link in the show notes to connect. I'm Jess Sargis, and I coach the bold. Lawyers, leaders, and anyone ready to lead their life with fierce agency. Green light. Let's go.